Good evening and welcome to Muse on the News. I'm Lisa.
I'm Jana.
I'm Molly. The one scratching her nose is Jana, that's me. That was badly timed.
How are we all?
We are very well, thank you.
Oh,
How are you doing?
Girls.
Of course, always.
Totally fine.
Giggles. Of course we have giggles, yeah. But always good. Thank you, girls. How are you?
We're good. We're good. So yesterday was International Women's Day.
Yeah. Yes.
So that's quite good. So it's lovely to be with some beautiful, clever, intelligent, charming women.
It wasn't yesterday.
Oh.
Yesterday.
It was 2 days ago.
Because today is Wednesday.
Yeah, Wednesday all day. Anyway,
Yeah.
right, so this is our news show. So we each choose an article, we talk about it, have a chat about it, and share our opinions in a very opinionated way. And we hope that you will join in by sharing your opinions in the comments too. Right, should we get cracking?
Shall we move on to number one?
Let's do it.
Let's do it. So number one is you, isn't it, Mom?
That's me, yeah. I'm kicking off tonight.
Right.
Okay, so yeah, I'll talk. This is very apt in kind of like my youth capacity and everything. Actually, I think Lisa shared this article with us about how we should teach queer literature and queer icons in school. And I can't believe we're still talking about it, but we are. I think we probably will be for a long time to come. And this is listing a whole load of inspiring people from history. And actually, shamefully, I haven't heard of, and a couple that I have didn't realise they were gay. So actually, it just goes to show that even though I'm ever so slightly the youngest here, it's still not being taught well enough in school. And basically, it's just trying to say that actually, the list is fantastic. I was making a note of some of them, even like Andy Warhol and Jack B. Garland, who I'd never heard of. Whole list of people that span kind of disability, race, religion, trans, lesbian, all kinds of backgrounds. And we need to teach this intersectionality in school. And actually, the article is really inspiring because it not only tells you who they are, what they did, but actually that they overcame something and they've had a really positive outcome, like they've been able to work in the field that they want to work in and they've been out and proud. So I think people need to see those role models. We've had a really tough week in youth work in Surrey this week, and actually if young people start seeing these role models, they can have really positive lives, and they see this from early on, actually they're going to have much better outcomes when they leave school. So I'm really glad we're talking about it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, obviously we didn't learn any of that at school, but it was so important for me to have a role, and my role was Martina. Like I was bang on about her, but it was, and she was a gay icon and she was a sports person, and I picked her. I found her, but nobody really went out their way to teach me about her, or maybe about her success and her career, but not about her sexuality. So I had to find someone. So yeah, it should definitely be taught at school because it helped me to sort of get on my path, I think.
Yeah, well, it's like we always say, don't we? Don't sorry, Cal, don't like make your sexuality your whole life because it's only part of your life. But it's really important for the kids to recognise that there are people out there that are well known that do know what they're going through, basically.
It's important that it's representative, and actually on the flip side, we've kind of had an opposite, haven't we, in the last couple of weeks. Our kids' school recently announced that they were going to be working on a piece of text written by J.K. Rowling, and we questioned it, and the school said that they'd made the decision and it was about the text and not the author. And 2 of our children challenged the teachers and said that they didn't feel comfortable working on a text written by a noted homophobe, and the author didn't. Basically our children made a conscientious objection to studying the piece, and they were both told that they could study an alternative text and they didn't have to because it was against their principles. How amazing is that?
It's wonderful.
That's so amazing.
That is incredible. I didn't actually realise that was the outcome. I know you girls were talking about this, but wow, that's amazing.
Yeah, we're really positive outcome, and you know, really proud of the children, because when we made our objections to the school, we didn't do that in partnership with the children. They knew nothing about the contact we'd made with the school, because we're very conscious of not undermining the teachers in any way. So we didn't. So it was their opinions weren't coloured by anything that we had said. They had done this completely off their own bat, and I was really proud of them. But yes, I think schools this year, although perhaps it may not have been able to come to fruition because of the challenging year it's been, but the changes in the laws with regard to schools and having appropriate materials in the libraries that are representative of the LGBT community is a really good step forward, really positive, I think. But there's such a long way to go, and it's, you know, I think the benefit of bringing lessons about these inspiring queer people into the classroom reaches far beyond the LGBTQ kids in that classroom. It's for every child, actually, to see that queer people contribute so positively and so well.
It's taken such a long time to get female authors onto reading lists, doesn't it? Didn't Trump wipe out all the, you know, even Harper Lee and, you know, some of the most famous female authors of all time, and he wiped them all off the kids' reading lists? Yeah, reinstated by Biden, obviously, since. But, you know, if female authors are still struggling to get their voices heard in schools, then I think we've still got a little way to go before we get our queer representation. But it's great that the conversation's happening. Yeah, really good.
Yeah, good, definitely. Yeah, fantastic.
Yeah, as I said, the reaction from our kids' school does show that you know, the people that are making these decisions in schools now are thinking about it, and they are listening both to parents and to kids. And hopefully, the more of our kids that are brave enough to ask the questions and stand up for things, then it will steer the texts that schools are choosing.
Yeah, and we quite often champion our kids' school because they are actually very progressive. So we were slightly taken aback about J.K. Rowling being included in the lesson plans, but you know, hey ho, that's the way it goes. But it will be interesting to see next year if she also features, because I mean, one of the kids literally did a quick Google search, because they've been in key worker classes up until this week when the kids are back. So she had time to do a quick Google search, and she copied and pasted a variety of tweets, and she managed to identify some particularly vile ones from J.K. Rowling, and I hope that will have educated the staff in school a little bit, because you know, they may not have, although they would have been under a rock if they weren't aware, but they may not have been aware. So we'd have to give the benefit of the doubt and hope for some better curriculum decisions next year.
Yeah, well, I think like everything, isn't it? The curriculum kind of gets a bit stagnated, and especially the reading list. You know, kids are going through the same books they've gone through for years, and actually maybe just lack of time or, you know, education and stuff, but actually looking at those reading lists and thinking, are they actually still relevant? And hopefully the changes in the curriculum are going to mean that people are, and I know some of the schools that I'm talking to, they're sort of stripping back their reading lists right to the beginning and starting again and making sure it is inclusive. So yeah, I think it will be really positive.
The same schools, but our second oldest daughter, she recently did Of Mice and Men, of one of her reading lists, and I lent her my 25-year-old copy that I had when I studied the same text at the same school.
With your notes.
With my notes in the marble. So she was very proud of that. But that's the point, isn't it, is how little the reading lists have changed. And I just want to make the point that there was no malice involved with the school choosing a Harry Potter book. I think they were looking for something that the children would enjoy, and something that they could get their teeth in, and something that was, you know, had a lot of metaphors and things that it would be easy to teach based on something fun.
And he's big. I mean, Harry Potter is big, as you know, what she
they're good books, aren't they? And it's such a shame, because you can't, you know, then you have to go with your conscience. And, you know, our kids have decided that they don't want to read Harry Potter anymore because they don't want to line J.K. Rowling's pockets, and they don't want to give her a platform. And you know, that's the objection that they've made. We wouldn't tell them that they can't read the books. They all own them. But
such a shame for Daniel Radcliffe, really, isn't it? It's just it's not just about her. There's so many other people involved, and
one person's comments can taint a lot of people, absolutely. But I think a lot of the characters, and actors have spoken out kind of with their own opinions and views, haven't they? Yeah. But it's a shame, because it is such such good books and really engaging for young people, and actually, but fantastic that they can make their own choice, and if they don't want to read them, then that should absolutely be up to them. So fantastic for the school to actually appreciate that.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It was the best response that the kids could have received, actually, you know, saying we'll provide you with an alternative task. It was all that needed to happen. So it was played very well.
Happy days. But anyway, we've got some lovely queer fiction on the reading list for the next generation.
Yeah.
Okay, shall we move on, ladies?
Yeah, it's me.
Yeah.
You next. So, what are you going to talk to us about?
Well, I'm talking about gender divide when it comes to housework. And The Guardian last week published an article which said that girls are doing more housework in COVID lockdown than boys. Now, I was a little bit surprised. So just to give this some context, in our household here, as any of our regular viewers will know, we have 4 children, and we have 2 boys and we have 2 girls. So it's even Stevens. And like, I don't know how you feel, but I feel that we don't assign household chores according to things that would be stereotypically gender specific.
No, we just give the worst jobs to whichever kids are naughty.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And yeah, I was really, really surprised by this. But in the bones of the article, it says 66% of girls and women aged 14 to 24 said they were spending more time cooking for their families compared to 31% of boys. So that's quite a big divide. In terms of cleaning, 69% of girls, as opposed to 58% of boys. Shopping, 52% of girls compared to 49% of boys. And looking after siblings, this was an interesting one, and probably you could guess, 28% of girls doing more of that, and 16% of boys saying that they do more. So intriguing, isn't it?
Yeah, there does still very much seem to be, you know, the opinion that there are girls' jobs and boys' jobs, and I don't necessarily think it's actually because girls are any more helpful. Actually, in our house, the most helpful one, the one that will always volunteer to, you know, wash up or something, is our eldest boy, you know. Whereas the girls, you know, suddenly have to run away when sent of a job that needs doing. The
Desperately need the loo.
desperately need the toilet.
Remember some urgent homework.
You know, so
That's desperate.
Oh wow, that is desperate.
is that parents? You know, is this still something that's been ingrained in generations and generations of people? And there are women out there that still think it's the girl's job to do the washing up and the boy's job to mow the lawn, because those stereotypically boys' jobs are infrequent, aren't they? You know, mowing the lawn or washing the car or whatever boys' jobs happen to be. Whereas girls' jobs are, as we all know, many and frequent.
Yes.
Except in our house, there are no boy jobs and girl jobs. So the boys particularly enjoy getting stuck into the cooking, but the girls do too. They do their share. On Friday afternoons, we have like job day on a Friday afternoon, so the house is all lovely for the weekend. Everybody has to do that. So the boys get stuck into cleaning, as do the girls, and the taking out the bins. The girls do that as frequently as the boys do. About the only thing that the eldest boy does more than the girls is remove spiders from the house.
Oh yeah.
And I think that's the only one that can handle it without fear.
Yes.
You know what we'll talk.
My method of smashing things with hammers, they will insist on taking spiders outside and releasing them to give them the opportunity to come back in at a later date.
What do you think, girls?
When we were talking about fostering last week, it makes me think more and more that we should get some kids in this house, because it sounds like a great way of getting your house tidy and cooking and stuff. So we just have to do it ourselves.
You can just get a maid or something rather than foster a bunch of kids to do the washing.
That's a good point. Yeah, we'll just get Molly to do it.
To get a cleaner, trust me.
I mean, obviously different in our house because we don't have children, so and we're both
boys,
girls. Yeah, children can be boys too.
Yeah, no, like we don't have. When you say boys, I mean men. We don't have any boys or men in it. House is just literally us.
So we literally, you know, share everything. But I think this obviously is looking more at young people, isn't it? And that divide. And it almost seems like that actually we've just completely. I mean, I think it said we've almost stepped back 10 years in some cases that, and I imagine this is very much in, and I'm probably mistaken, it's probably spread across the country, but the areas of more deprivation and poverty where kids were going to school because actually maybe social workers and community workers are encouraging those girls to go and get the education. And since they've been back at home, especially if maybe there's more children in the household, it's just seen that the eldest daughter is going to crack on with doing the dinner because mum has been doing it since she's been at school. And actually, it's really sad that actually when they're back in the house, they're not maybe focused on their education again, and they're missing out on vital stuff. And it comes down, doesn't it, to like your kids, when they've been at home for quite a short period being key workers, you've encouraged them to crack on and do their lessons and have been really supportive. But if you've got parents that are either busy or out at work, or actually maybe they're not working and they've got loads of kids that need looking after and stuff, and there isn't that kind of positive role model to be like, no, you're going to do your set standard of lessons, because it's really important, even if it means mum still has to crack on and do all the housework herself and stuff.
It does come down to parenting, doesn't it? I mean, parents are teaching the kids. Some of them are teaching them the wrong way.
Yeah, sexism.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, and we don't assign girls' jobs and boys' jobs, as Lisa said. You know, we don't make an issue of it, and you know, our kids would never say, "I'm not doing that. That's a boy's job. I'm not doing that. That's a girl's job." No more than they would, you know, our boys don't have an issue wearing pink and our girls don't have an issue wearing men's button-down shirts. There's just stuff and things and that. Nothing's for girls and nothing's for boys. It's just stuff for everyone.
Yeah.
It's still breaking down those gender roles, isn't it? It's still very much pushed on us subconsciously, even though, you know, we would kind of rebel because obviously we both do quite manual labour jobs anyway. So, you know, taking the bins out or washing the car would never be seen as man's work, but to a lot of people,
but it is getting better. You know, there's a lot of husbands running housewives. There's so many chefs, male chefs. I think there's more male chefs than there's female chefs.
Massively dominated industry, actually, isn't it?
Chefing is, and I think, you know, the cleaning industry will be the same in about 20 years. It'll be all dominated by men. You never know.
My dad worked a very manly men's job, but actually the bulk of the cooking that happened in our house when we were growing up was my dad, because he loved it. You know, my stepmom was great at burning a fish finger, but if you wanted a lasagna or something nice making, it was my dad.
Yeah.
And it wasn't seen as a girly thing to do at all. It was, he possessed a skill and he enjoyed doing it.
Yeah, but I think your dad, I never met your dad, but I think he was quite progressive in lots of ways, because he had you in the business, didn't he? You know, he had you in there mucking in and fitting windows when you were, you know, a slip of a young girl.
Well, my dad taught me how to fit windows when I was 13, 14, you know, and I learned to drive a van and all that sort of stuff when I was a really young teenager. It was, yeah, you know, I took part in the family business, regardless.
If Cal can fit windows, why we just pay thousands to a company to do it?
Because I'm very busy these days, Jana. You didn't actually ask me to price them for you.
It's just a silly excuse. I'm going to take them out and get you to do it again. Anyway, sorry.
Yeah, it's a really interesting debate, isn't it? I think we'll always kind of come back to this, but there's definitely some strides in the right direction. I just hope that we haven't done too much damage with the pandemic, and actually those kids, now school is reopened, they are going to be encouraged to go back to school and not sort of be kept home.
Yeah, but it is funny, because there must be a significant societal influence on little minds as well, right? So in our professional lives, we have the opportunity to watch lots of very young children play, and it's really interesting to listen and watch how they go about role playing and the toys that they favor, that the different genders favor. And you know, we're forever fighting a battle saying, no, it's not a boy's toy, it's an everybody's toy. You know, anyone can play with that, and we have to keep doing that. But when they're role playing, like, the girls very much do sort of the lovey baby doll stuff, don't they? And
I think it just takes a seed, you know. Obviously we can't give any details, but we had, you know, a gang of boys, and they were just as happy playing with the dolls and with the, you know, the dressed up stuff and all that as the girls were. And then we had a new kid start who said, oh, well, that's a girl's toy, these are boys' toys. And that tiny seed planted made such an impact, didn't it? Well, I'm not doing that, that's not a boy's toy. And it was almost instant from these kids being told, young kids, you know, these kids are too, but from being told that that's not a boy's toy, that then how their attitude changed towards those toys that they enjoyed so much previously.
Yeah.
It's a shame, isn't it? The kids get embarrassed really quickly, especially boys. They just get embarrassed about these things if it's pointed out to them. They get embarrassed, and then
it's very easy to be swayed as a child, isn't it? You kind of, I'm a 2-3-year-old wouldn't stand up and go, no, actually, that's an everybody's toy, and there might be one child that does it, but actually most of them will be, oh, okay then, and they'll carry on playing, but they'll sway down the other route.
They're just like little sponges at that age, and they just absorb every bit of information that you feed them. So to counter it, we just have to do lots of our own role modeling. And when they see our kids coming in and doing various things, you know, thankfully our eldest boy, Jana, he'll play with anything, and you know, and he plays with the boys and plays with the girls, and you know, and that works quite well. And it's just about role modeling.
Absolutely.
Okay. So yes, more progress, please, parents. Kind of get your boys at the cooker, and
that's it. And don't
your girls roll along.
Yeah, let your boys dress up as Wonder Woman, and let them have an a la carte kitchen. And you know,
they don't do a la carte kitchens anymore.
Well, they should do a la carte kitchens. They do kitchen toys, don't they? And they do the light bulb oven and all that tush. They do all that.
Yeah.
Do you know what? I just realised all those decades ago, when I was a little one at nursery, and we used to do those days when you dress up.
Yeah.
What do you call it?
Mufti Day?
No, not like dress up nicely, like princess and king and queen. What do you call it? You dress up. Okay. It was a special day. It was once a year. It was a special day where you had to dress up as something out of some fairy tale, say. And obviously all the girls were princesses and queens and God knows what, and the boys were the boy stuff, the cowboys and that. But actually, my parents would always let me go as a cowgirl, and I got photos of me as a little girl with this massive belt, leather belt, and a gun, and like.
Wow, that's quite progressive.
I think there was one where I went in a dress, and maybe the photo was so bad, and parents realised that, you know, I cried all day, that maybe they won't do it to me again, so they let me go as a cowgirl. But that's amazing, because that's, you know, my parents weren't quite as easy when it came to LGBT issues. I mean, I didn't come out to them until I was 30, but really when I was 5 or 4, they let me go dressed as a cowgirl. That's fabulous. I love them.
A cowgirl as being, you know, non-feminine, because even the very wet cowgirl, you know,
maybe.
Yeah. Interesting.
Oh, there was no other cowgirls. I tell you now, there was no other. I was the only cowgirl in the city.
It's cool, isn't it? It's cool and it's badass, and hats off to your mum and dad. Yeah.
I know.
Yeah.
Okay.
Excellent.
So move on, ladies.
We shall.
Okay. So Jana, your story.
Oh, is it? Yes. What are we talking about? Oh yeah, this is really exciting.
I love this one, Jana. It was a great choice.
It is a good choice, and it's really exciting. It's another step forward. In London. So Sadiq Khan is talking about the fact that we're going to open the first UK's first retirement community celebrating LGBT plus people, which is amazing. In a way, and I'm really happy to read this. I mean, obviously, don't shoot the messenger, because this is in London. It's in Vauxhall. It's not going to be cheap. It is only 19 flats. They're 1- and 2-bedroom flats, I think. But it's going to be, you know, for retired people who are LGBT, and they're going to feel happy and safe, overlooking Thames. I think it's great. Yeah, probably not affordable to everyone, but it's a step in the right direction, I think. And I love the idea of that. Can you imagine just like the 4 of us? We might end up there in like 20 years. Is it too early? 40 years.
20 years is a bit too early.
Yeah, I'm not ready for it in 20 years. No.
I'd say girls start saving, because it's not going to be cheap, that's for sure. But hopefully in 20, 30 years, there'll be more. Hopefully next 2 years, there'll be more.
There's a precedent set now, and do you know what? Retirement homes aren't cheap anyway. You know this. Retirement homes and nursing homes are super duper expensive, regardless of where they are and who they're for. They're ridiculously expensive. So that's just par for the course, unfortunately, isn't it? But it's really nice that there's actually now a special community. But that is nice, but also it's segregation again, isn't it?
Yeah, I think the place that sort of has been opened up, I think, is already kind of a residential home anyway. And they're saying some of the residents that live there that aren't LGBT seem to be quite kind of young at heart still. They're asking for casino nights and drag nights and stuff. So hopefully that means that there's a bit of mixing, and actually it's not just LGBT. But then also we always say, don't we, that we don't want to segregate from the community, and I'd be more than happy to live with allies. I think what some older LGBT people are saying, that in the residential care homes, they don't feel that it's an environment where they can be themselves. And maybe there's some work to be done in residential homes about actually, because I mean, I suppose as time goes on, we are now more open and as a society more accepting. So therefore, as we transition into residential homes, society will be different. Whereas I imagine a lot of older people living there.
I mean, you've been to a care home when my mum was, right? Can you imagine, wearing my Pride t-shirt there?
It just wouldn't happen.
Holding your hand, like I think
that generation are a very different, get the fish to our generation, and our generation isn't perfect either. But when our kids are crusty old ladies in their nursing homes, hopefully there'll be, a beautiful community full of all sorts of people living harmonious, not batting an eyelid at people that are different.
But I think it is beginning to happen. We've got a care home close by to us, and one of the managers there got in touch with us a couple of years ago to highlight the work that they do in terms of being inclusive. And when we drive past, they proudly fly the Pride flag outside, and and they have like a once a month fish and chips supper for the gay residents.
Wow. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, so I think that there is progress being made on the care home that we partner with for our work. They're fantastic there as well, in terms of being open and inclusive. But I don't believe that they've got very many out gay residents. But nonetheless, they are practicing in an inclusive way. So I hope as as the years begin to roll on and more people who are out in their sort of 70s begin to access those kind of provisions, we might see some real change.
I think we will. It's a slow process, isn't it? And you've only got to look at how long it took the civil rights movement to actually get any real meaningful change, and we're still really in our infancy, aren't we, in terms of a community trying to strive for betterment of ourselves and others, so it will happen. It's just a slow and steady.
Talking about slow, so I how I was banging on about how Britain is so far ahead, and it's it's really good in things LGBT. Yes. But when you read that article, there's a couple of other links, and I clicked on one talking about first LGBT retirement homes in Europe, and when I clicked on it, it came up with Sweden, and that was in 2013. So
Sweden do everything first because they're just
and then America, of course, the other link, America 2014. Already loads of LGBT retirement homes, or for people to feel safe and that. But why is London, England, UK only now? It should have been here already. We're slow. It's slow. It needs to be quicker.
Yeah. And the point that you were making about segregation, I take what you're saying, but actually, people, the power of being around people like you is such a huge thing, isn't it? I mean, we feel it when we go to a Pride event and or hanging out with you girls or the rest of our team at Pride in Surrey. You know, it's a really powerful thing. And I actually think living out the end of your life and your final years with people like you in a happy, harmonious, non-judgmental.
People like them when I'm at the end of my life.
Did she just say that?
She doesn't mean it. She doesn't mean
I'm just gently ribbing you there. I don't want to be
making notes.
Queer people. Look, I said you could have your goat next week.
Too late.
You're right. It's a bit like, well, in life, isn't it? You know, you can find some kind of contentment and happiness around people that get you and understand your journey. And as much as you don't want to not be around other people that are different because they all add to your life, there's definitely something to be around familiarity.
Yeah, because you can like talk about those good old days when you were, you know, doing the gay stuff, and I think it's great. I think it's fun.
I'll still be doing the gay stuff in the retirement home.
Molly will be running the fish and chip supper.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to that.
Me too, actually. I haven't had fish and chips.
We could run down retirement for hours and hours about what we're going to be like when we're old ladies.
Yeah.
Do you know what? Why don't we take it into our hands? And actually, as Pride in Surrey, we do join up with some more nursing homes and go around and educate them and just do it. Just so, even though they're not called LGBT friendly, we can make them LGBT friendly. Let's do that.
Lots of them already are, but I think it's always good to connect and share.
Need more.
You know,
They are, and you know, most people are live and let live, aren't they?
Yeah. I think so.
My old granddad was great when I came out. He didn't bat an eyelid.
I was just going to say, lots of the older generation are so like. Progressive is the wrong word. I think it is more live and let live. They've been through so much and they've met so many different kinds of people in their lives that they're just like, yeah, whatever.
Plus, my granddad was in the Navy for 30 years. You can't tell me that he didn't hang around with a whole load of gay boys.
You can't talk about your granddad like that.
He's dead.
Oh.
He wouldn't mind.
He wouldn't mind.
He was the character.
He was.
Right, it's your article next time.
This is my article next. Right, so we couldn't let this week pass and not touch on possibly the biggest news story
of the year so far.
The year so far, maybe. Certainly the biggest news story of the week. Sorry, bear with me. We seem to be having some connection issues today. So we're going to be talking.
Again. There we go.
About Megs and Has and their interview. Crikey, guys. I mean, seriously, some of the things that have been alleged in this interview are sort of quite worrying. But I think the thing that struck me most is a member of the family, not a courtier, not somebody who pushes a pen for a living, but a member of the family querying the tone of the baby's skin when he was born, and it's been implied that there was a link between Archie being mixed race and him not receiving the title of prince. Crikey, what do you think?
Well, yeah, I mean, it'd be interesting to see how this. I mean, it's already unfolded, quite a lot already, and to see how it goes. The thing that's really struck me this week, especially, Monday we had International Women's Day, the amount of negative press about Meghan, like the comments are just thousands and thousands and thousands. And what I kind of try to keep in my mind is you see the way that she holds herself. Sometimes I think, she's clearly meant for the stage somewhere. She's a
little bit of a poser, yeah.
She loves to pose and stuff. But everything we see on social media is, how true is it? How accurate is it? Every news article we read is led in a way to make you believe something and feed you. And actually, we have no idea.
You haven't got a Scooby. Sorry.
You haven't got a Scooby. She's sitting there and she's saying, "This is how I felt. I felt that I didn't want to live, that I was being silenced, that I was being this and that." And straight away, the public come out and dismiss how she's feeling, and I just think they have absolutely no right to do that.
No, you don't. And a lot of the nastiness on social media becomes very personal, and it's very rarely on topic. With making personal attacks against a person you don't know, just it can't be right, can it? I think I do kind of wonder about the race issue, because I do remember when they first started going out and all the press about him going out with this actress, and there was rarely an article that you would ever read that didn't describe her as mixed race, or, you know, the first black woman to date a royal, or something. There was always a mention of race, wasn't there? It was never just, you know, the bird off the telly. It was always, there was always a nod to it. Really...
But I think I have to preface everything I say here by sort of recognizing the fact that I am coming from a place, as all of us are, of white privilege, and actually really understanding the race issue. I can't profess to have a full understanding because I haven't experienced it, right? So everything I say is in that context. But I think that those newspaper articles at the beginning, when the relationship came out and they got engaged and everything, from my recollection, it was always covered by the press in a really positive way. And I can remember at the time feeling like it was such a really progressive step forward. And I don't think it's a bad thing to recognize that progressive step. I don't think it is.
It doesn't need to be mentioned, though, does it? Because literally every news article written about that woman, I just, you know, I'm not her biggest fan. You know, I'm not going to buy an autobiography anytime soon. But I do recognise that, you know, particularly when they first started going out and around the time of the wedding, there wasn't a single article that didn't mention her race or her heritage. And there's absolutely no need to do.
I think there's a fine line, because I actually get where you're both coming from, because I think it's important to note that actually, well, I don't know actually, because it shouldn't be an issue for Harry to bring home anybody from anywhere. But equally, I think the royal family are quite well known for perhaps being slightly dated in their views. And I imagine they would maybe not even have something to say, but they would definitely feel, oh, we're very aware that this is the first person of colour or the first person from this country that has been brought home by somebody. But I do feel like it's gone too far. Like you say, every article is about where she's come from, and therefore it's not necessarily seen in a positive light, is it? Because it's almost seen.
So maybe the point is laboured too much. You know, I think it was a huge step forward for the royal family to allow a partner who wasn't, you know,
he's the spare, though, isn't he? Do you think American black girl?
Well, that's an interesting debate,
because Harry's the spare, and by the time Harry met Meghan, there was already 3 extra spares waiting in the wings in form of, you know, William's kids. So there really was, I mean, Harry's 473rd in line to the throne, so it really was irrelevant who he married at that point. He'd fulfilled his duty of being the spare and getting William to adulthood, hadn't he? You know, I think there's been lots of comparisons made with Meghan to Wallis Simpson, you know, the other dangerous American to infiltrate the British royal family. You know, but I don't know. I honestly, I don't know how I feel about this. I kind of feel that, yes, there possibly was a race issue. And that's the only kind of thing that I took away from this interview, really feeling that there was a proper nugget of truth in that. And it was, I believe it possibly was said. I think a lot of it is open for interpretation. I think, as you quite rightly say, Molly, it's her feelings and it's his feelings and it's the way they felt about it, whether or not it's exactly verbatim how things happened. But yeah, to be pregnant and to be overjoyed at you know, welcoming a child, and to have somebody question what skin tone your baby's going to have.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
Your child not having detail and not having a royal title.
And whatever happened, I imagine there is an awful lot of pressure in that family to conform. And, you know, you see it in Kate. I mean, she does a fantastic job. Again, we have no idea what her life is actually like and how she actually feels, but she seems to fulfill her role very well. But it is a role, isn't it? And you are out in the public eye all the time, and everything you do and say is scrutinized, and everything you wear down to your last detail. And that's got to be a lot of pressure. And I feel like for Harry, like you say, being the spare, he's always been sort of compared to William. I mean, most of his life has been press reports as to whether you know, who his dad is and who his heritage is, and how does that make him feel? And actually then he finds somebody that he really loves and wants to pursue that, and again it's just kind of eaten away at, isn't it?
Yeah, well, I mean, we might not know Meghan very well, but I think a lot of British people know Harry quite a lot, because we've seen him from a little boy, you know, and he's been through so much. He's lost his mum, who I thought was the most amazing woman. So if I had so much feeling for Diana, you know, him as a son, he must have been like absolutely heartbroken, and that's going with him still. That's still with him. I believe that. And you know, maybe he just wants to have a crack at normal life, and we should just let him.
His prerogative, you know, completely his prerogative. I don't know what the real benefit is in, you know, doing all the media gigs, right? So I don't know how many they plan on doing. We've seen Harry do James Corden, and then both of them have done Oprah this week, and you know, I don't know. I feel kind of sad about it. And the thing that actually strikes me is that those brothers, William and Harry, are I'm not a royalist at all, but it's so sad to see that relationship so fractured, and equally Harry's relationship with his dad is very fractured. And I think, you know, they've been through, as you rightly point out, they've been through such a lot with the loss of their mum at such a young age, and for that relationship to have broken down, I think is just such a shame. And I hope that is repaired. That's nothing to do with me being a royalist. That's just me looking at two human beings, and I just think that is just so.
I think
so sad.
It must be difficult, and I think a lot of people look upon, you know, being a royal as having this amazing life of privilege. I think, but it is a job, and him saying he felt trapped, and William's trapped, and Charles is trapped. You don't really have a choice, do you? You're just born into this situation that you can't really escape from unless you're really brave. And Harry said that he wouldn't have left if it were not for Meghan. I think Meghan was perhaps incredibly naive when she entered into a relationship with Harry, and when she entered into a marriage. We say about making the comparison with Kate. Kate had been going out with William for 10 plus years. She's a British person. She's well aware of the institution of the British family. She had been trained and brought up to speed, and she had kind of lived the life of a royal, you know, in her long-term relationship with him, and she very much knew what she was getting herself into. I think for Meghan and Harry, it was quite a whirlwind, wasn't it? They were married within 2 years, and she can't possibly have understood really what kind of contract she was entering into, because it's not just marrying the man in your dreams and then having a lovely time and going to the opera every now and then. It's continual service.
Yeah, you know, if you're in the royal family, it's a life of servitude, and you're serving the British people, and that's there's no bones about it, you know. So you know, in a way, I'm not sure how she couldn't be aware, but you know, I take your point, and I think Kate was wise in William and Kate were wise in giving it such a lot of time before they took that big step and got married, you know.
But she had been used to the press attention. She'd been his girlfriend for a long time. She'd been accompanying him to.
She's almost eased into it, wasn't she? And
yeah, she was eased into it, and they were allowed to have a bit of a youth, weren't they, at university and all this sort of stuff. We met her, you know, when she was, you know, when they were adults, basically. You know, they didn't meet as 17-year-olds at uni. You know, they met as adults. She, you know, she came from a different place anyway. Not only is she an actress, you know, not only is she a Black American woman, she's also a divorcee. You know, she had all these kind of things riding against her, really, in terms of being accepted in such a crusty institution as the royal family. And perhaps it was naive of the both of them to expect it to be
plain sailing. Yeah.
You know, easy either on part of the courtiers that run, you know, the royal family, because, you know, we all know, we've all watched The Crown, the royal family don't really have any control over anything they do. It's the people, you know, with the rule books and the protocol sheets. That
Crown is fiction, the establishment is real, isn't it?
Yeah, but, you know, I very much believe that, you know, they don't have very much control, and everything is that on precedent, you know, so, what a situation.
What a mess. I hope that the individuals find some resolution, because it's a hard way to live your life with that kind of animosity family. It's not a good thing. But I tell you something, I wouldn't do it for love nor money, would you? Be in the royal family.
I would do it for love. I would do it for you. If I'd met you and you were like but I know it's a republic. But if you were Queen of Ireland or Princess of Ireland, and you said, look, do you fancy it? I'd have gone, yeah.
Okay.
I knew that would.
Well. Anyway, yes. So anyway, that's the end of that one. It'd be interesting to see how, as you say, Molly, how it pans out over the next little while. Be interesting. I think this is going to rumble for quite some time.
For years. This will be the what was his name? The one that abdicated, the king for Wallis Simpson.
Yeah.
Was he a George?
George.
Is it George or a Henry or a
one of them? Anyway,
I think George.
Was it
the one that abdicated for Wallis Simpson. He was he was the sister locked in the attic, wasn't he, for the rest of his life? And perhaps Harry.
Wasn't he Edward?
Edward.
No,
King Ed.
I think it was Edward VIII.
No. Stop talking.
I think it was Edward.
Oh God.
Just going to ask Google. It doesn't really matter. It's irrelevant.
I'm
Harry
confused.
Wallis Simpson, the dangerous American divorcee. It's going to come up with Harry, isn't it?
No, I don't think it was Harry.
It was Edward.
Thank you, Edward.
Edward VIII. Yeah.
Thank you. Why did you
Well
ask me?
Oh, God. See,
Hey, I can give something for this.
More clued up on British history than we are.
I am. I
Yeah.
always tell everyone that I am.
That's because you came from foreign land. You learned about us.
It's because my mum loved anything history, and like most of the time in one ear, out the other. But I really tried to listen and learn. And she always talked about Edward VIII. No, I do remember. It's definitely him. And yeah, everything that happened.
It was a real scandal, wasn't it?
Something did stuck in my mind. So there you go.
Anyway.
Thanks, Mum.
Yeah. My mum was a real royalist as well. It's funny, isn't it? But I'm not quite so.
My dad wasn't. Well, my granddad was, because Prince Charles once saw him in a crowd and came over to talk to him because he was wearing a and he found out on that story for 30 years.
Oh, Molly met Kate last year.
Now I do. I'm basically living vicariously through my dead relatives. Anyway, Jana.
That's a
Claim to fame. She made a Kate 2019, didn't you?
2019. Yeah, Kate Middleton does a lot of work, obviously, with the Royal Horticultural Society.
So they did some gardening together.
No, I was very close, but we didn't officially meet.
She threw some soil at her.
Did you? Did you wink at her?
She can't wink. She can't wink.
I can wink with one eye, just not with the other eye.
Try. See, she can do it. That was.
It's not with the other one. I can't do it.
We've got a royal claim to fame.
Oh.
We had a Zoom call with Prince Edward.
Prince Edward.
You did.
Well, Edward did.
No, that would have been don't.
So we haven't got enough time to go into this now because I really want to get to the second most important part of this show. Jana?
Word of the week. Word of the week. Word of the week.
Too short.
It's so flat, isn't it? That singing is so flat.
I think it's good. I love it. We've had lots of letters about how good that is. I feel like Terry Wogan. When we did things to do. We've got sacks and sacks of mail. How much they love and adore.
Fan mail. We had fan mail. Nothing
they
comes
download
in.
an MP3 is what people are saying to me. Stream it.
Yes,
Brilliant.
Yes.
I don't mind what everybody else thinks. I think it's brilliant, girls. You did a grand job with that.
Anyway, do you have a word of the week for us?
Yes.
Oh my gosh.
We've seen it.
I've seen it. Carry on.
I was having a bath just before this. And I was like, oh my god, word of the day, week, whatever it is. Forgot again. Like I have looked this morning and I couldn't find a word. So I was in the bath and I was like, sugar, I need to find a word. And because it's was recently Women's International Day, I was looking for a word connected to strong, powerful women. And all I was getting like amazing, incredible, powerful, all this. Who?
Vulva.
But oh no, that wasn't there. So this word popped up, and it's spunky.
Oh no!
I know.
Well, no,
bear with
I
me.
think spunky is good. Go on, carry on.
It's not what I thought it was at all. I thought spunky was.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you know what it means? Spunky means courageous and determined. I didn't know that.
Yeah, it's just the beginning of the word, and the
I
word
know it's horrible, but that's all I could come up with.
really, out of all the billions and billions of words in all the languages, the only one
Stood out.
Start using it in a better way.
Spunky, you're so spunky. You are. I like it actually. You girls are really spunky because you do. That sounds wrong. Sorry, no, I can't carry on.
make it stop.
It doesn't sound right. I'm trying. But Lisa likes it, right? Lisa,
Yeah, and
you're
actually,
okay with it.
yes, it was a word that I would have used as a young teenager.
Yeah, for
Spunky.
laughs.
No, in the context that Jana has.
Well, Molly,
described.
we grew up in Britain, and we never would have used the word spunky, would we? Because we would have been beaten up.
Yes. So I'm quite happy to change the meaning to this.
Yeah,
And that
reclaim
gives me
it.
That
another
is the
word in my-
meaning. That is the
This
meaning.
is the true meaning.
Okay, so what is the meaning
No.
you're talking about, and Kel?
It's too early in the day.
I don't know.
Jizz, semen,
But you can't say jizz at 6 o'clock.
7.
6, we go out.
Is it a swear word?
Well, not really, but it's not very nice.
No.
It's tea time. I'm really sorry to anyone that's having semolina or tapioca.
I'm
Or just
not.
lychees.
Sorry.
Lychees.
Shall
Like-
we move on?
Yes.
Anyway.
Okay, let's move on. Right, last
Thanks,
feature.
Jana. Last feature, the one you've all been waiting for, the one you've waited 51 minutes for. Go to the week.
Yes.
This week we have Agnes from Aberdeen.
Okay.
Look at her there. She's been nominated by her mum, Sue. She's very young, so she doesn't have any hobbies. It's mainly running about and falling over. Isn't she adorable, girls?
She's so adorable.
Oh my
Look at
I
her.
love her.
Agnes.
I want her on the farm.
Oh my god. We're so gonna get a goat.
Yeah, she's Scottish.
I don't want to get. Oh, it's
Have
cute.
you ever kid Agnes? Agnes.
Agnes, come back.
Agnes.
Oh,
She's so cute.
she's super cute. You did
She's a
good.
fluff bomb.
Oh, there you go.
I'm still upset you didn't want to use my name, but Agnes will do. She's cute.
Look,
She's very
Your
spunky.
own go to the week next week, okay?
yeah.
No, it's fine.
She's got the right old knock.
Got the
now.
right knock. She doesn't confirm with us about word of the week because I tell you something, if she had, Spunky wouldn't have got one. And now she wants to confirm about goat.
Yeah, you do your goat, I'll do my words. I'll try to do a better job next time, I promise.
Yeah. Can't do worse, really, honey.
Right. Okay. Thank you
Right.
for this, everyone, for 52 minutes.
Yep. Right, that's it. That's the end of Muse on the
This is
News.
it. This has been Muse on the News.
Yeah, if you want to send us an article you'd like us to discuss, please do so to which email address?
Please email us at online@prideinsurrey.org, or you can comment in the section here. You can tweet us. You can Facebook us. You can Instagram.
Send a letter.
Or
You can
send a letter with a
Although
stamp.
I'm getting so many written word
It'll be
letters
missed.
about the word of the week,
Yeah,
theme music, it might be missed. You can use semaphore, carrier pigeon, or smoke signals. However, please do so under the supervision of a responsible adult.
perfect. All right,
Thank you.
everybody.
Thank you, ladies.
It's been a pleasure.
Thank you very
so
much.
Always a pleasure.
Always a pleasure. Have a lovely week.
Yeah, have a good one, yeah?
Uh,
Huh?
And
What?
you.
Okay.
Have a good one, you spunky lady. Mwah.